Okay, guys, so let me just take that off for a second. Right here, I wanted to show you Pixverse here, for example. As you can tell, they have the new 4.5. Now, with the 4.5, you could pretty much, get exactly what you want, but there's a big difference. And I'm going to make sure, right? So, this scene here is from Alex Mack. One of the scenes, it's where her and Annie morph into liquid. And as you can see there, I have lips popping up after they morph. Now, basically in the original episode, they just go and basically do what they got to do, right? They as a puddle, they just flow off. They just flow back to the house and everything as a puddle, giggling and having fun and all that. So that's the one thing I did. Now the other one, and that was this here. I'm going to bring it up for a second. Let me just mute that. Here, I'm going to go into the details. We can bring it up for a second. As you can tell, it says in the details, it's extended from the original scene, so I made it into what I wanted to make it into. But you can see it's done by 4.5. Okay. Now, you might say, well, that shouldn't be an issue, right? That's not an issue or anything. But, watch here. So we're going to look at it again, and we're going to mute. I don't want any trouble. So this is by 4.5. Now watch. See how it's described? Now look what happens. Okay. So basically, I had the form expand. I had the form expand and everything, if you will. And then I continued that on the next one here. And all that. I continued that on the next one here. And basically, it expands even more. I just used the same saying, and I said, expand more and more and more. And now sometimes you can even copy what you describe and put in parentheses what you want to see happen. Now here, we'll go to this one, and then I say female facial imprint. But I want you to notice something if I bring it up. It says version 4. And you see that? That's what version 4. Here's the thing about that, though. Here's the thing about, that version 4, if you will. Basically, with version 4, you can't do that with version 4.5. Because if you do it, and let me just do it again. If you do it with 4.5, watch what you get. As I bring this up, now watch what you get. You see, that's what you get with 4.5. Not bad, but when you're wanting something to be basically what you're asking it to be and all that, it's got to be what you're asking, right? It's got to be what you're asking. So basically what I'm getting at here is, 4.5 gives you what you want, but sometimes it goes just a little further. It goes a little further and everything. And can I pause this or not? Now this scene here obviously is from Superman or Justice League. Now she doesn't do that in the original scene, but as you can tell, what I did is I used Vidu AI to do the submerging, and then I used 4.5 to do that. Now with 4.5, it gives you what 4 would. 4 would do the same thing, but what it does with 4.5 is it adds the suds around the lips. So in other words, it makes it look like she's submerged and now become part of the bubble bath. She's now basically the bubbles, if you know what I mean. She's basically the bubble bath. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool on their end and everything. That's pretty cool. Now here, this is basically from the same episode and everything. But watch. And that's using version 4. If I use version 4.5, I would get something similar, but not really. But you see what I'm saying? Basically, I said in there, reduct, female eyes form on the puddle form, along with all that. You could tell and everything, and then you hear that sound right there. That's the Annie and Alex giggling as they're going, as goo and all that. So anyway, the point I'm getting at if I can bring this to a stop here. The point I'm getting at basically is with Pixverse and the 4.5, you could get exactly what you're asking for. There's no doubt about that. You can get what you're asking for in everything. And VDU is one of those areas that can help you do that. Kling does the same thing. In fact, I have something going on with Kling right now, extending wise, but it does give you what you want. Kling does kind of do the same thing, but what you got to do is you got to extend, and then you got to use what's known as the and let me bring it up here. I don't know if I can bring it up immediately as I just do that. Just check my computer again. But right here, basically, I'm working on something. Okay, it didn't work, but essentially, I guess because it's got to extend or something, so we could try it again. We could try it again and all that. We could try again. So this here is this here is basically where you could just redo the thing and see what happens, right? And then you could see what it takes off. Now, those that don't make it, you could just delete it. You could just delete that and everything and move on and see what happens. Now, the extension, unfortunately, does take like 10 minutes, so it's like a waiting time. But what it does is what I wanted to point out here, though, is you have the deep seek. Deep seek basically is a way to take your prompt, like like what I had originally, and make it into something more detailed, so you kind of get what you want. It says basically, please describe your creative ideas for the video, or have DeepSeek generate the prompt or view help center for. Basically, it basically has you do what it wants you to do. Now, for example, like with this was a DeepSeek right here, right? Now, if we go up, now we could see, go to this, go to this one, I think, right here, and let's see, we got anything described? No, we don't. Let's see. We should have something described. I don't think we do. I think I didn't describe something. But anyway, for example, here I'll copy this, right? I'll copy that, and then I'll go over here. This is to edit. Okay, this is to edit. You want to, like, if I want to switch it over. All right. So there's that, right? There's that. Now you might say, well, why is the sledgehammer image there? I wanted to try to do something, right? So here's what I'll do. I'm going to take out. Okay, if I can, if it lets me. We're going to do that. Then we're going to go here, and I'm going to just squeeze my fingers, and it'll allow me to paste. But here's what I do with DeepSeek. DeepSeek will allow me to say, okay, come up with a more detailed idea. And as you can tell, it's coming up with an idea. So what it's coming up with is that. And then you can see, okay, let's use that prompt. And then we go to here, and it will say it's in progress. Now, let's say, for example, okay, let's go back to that. Okay, let's edit it again. Let's go back to it. And now there's the sledgehammer. There's the one from Sledgehammer, right? So we'll bring that over to start. All right, that'll be our start image. Now, here's what we do. I'm going to tell this. I'm going to use the mic, and I'm going to say this. Off. And then we're going to go to, again, DeepSeek. And in DeepSeek, if it does it, we click on it. There we go. And then as you could tell, and there you go. And then you could say, okay, use that prompt, and you go 35, and then there you go. Does it take some time? Yes. As you can tell, it went all the way to that. And what we have to do now is just check where we're at. As you can tell, it's a little tricky when you're doing this with your fingers and everything. And you got like one task. So here's the first task. Now watch what happens if it works. Now it didn't work, but basically it's kind of showing the progress of it, right? You kind of get what I'm saying. So basically, all these AIs are actually doing pretty good. They're actually doing pretty good. Now, VDU, I don't know if I could show you that, but I'm going to show you how, where it's gotten to. Oh, no, let's see. There we go. So here's the VDU. Now, I'm not going to do anything right now, but I'm going to show you basically what it allows you to do, okay? So that's my stuff right there. Now, here it is. You got tools that go up to that. Basically, it goes up to that and everything. And let me just move this for a second. Just scroll these a little bit, if it lets me. There we go. But you see, it allows you to do stuff like here. If I wanted to recreate this scene, this is at 8 seconds and 720 at large and medium, right? This is medium. Oh, not that's large, not medium. But if I wanted to recreate it, I could, right? I could recreate it. Now, okay, so it's recreated. So, but basically what I'm getting at is here's the newer one. This is more clearer version, and that goes for 30. And you could do the same thing, but it's only 5 seconds. And why is it 5 seconds, you might ask? Mainly because of the fact that it takes time, but it does kind of give you what you're wanting, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily do that. It changes up. Sometimes it will give you what you want, and it'll give you the opposite. So basically, 30 is kind of like, 30, if you will, is kind of like a jump in the air. Like here's medium. That's what happens with medium. Okay, that's what happens with medium. Pretty cool, right? But 30, it could give you that, but mainly it'll probably just have them separate after they hug. It's kind of, like I said, it's a toss in the air, but you kind of get the idea. Overall, basically, I just wanted to take this time, hopefully without any trouble, to give you guys an idea of what these, what these things are about, what they're capable of, and all that. So, yeah, just a little update on the Pixverse, the Kling, and all that. Let you know what they're about. Let me know what your thoughts are overall on them. Let me know if you've tried any of them. If you've had some problems or successes with them, let me know. And until then, I am out.